Hello everyone, if you don't know me already, I'm Tara, the dance doctor. Welcome to my channel. In today's lesson, I'm doing a second twerk tutorial for beginners where I add 4 new movements into your twerking repertoire. As always, there are timestamps in the description box below so you can easily find the section of the video you are looking for. Also in the description box, a link to my Patreon page. If you love my content and want to get early access to my video lessons and exclusive content only for Patreon members, you can do so by following that link. We're going to get right into the lesson. I just want to remind you to give this video a like, subscribe to my channel, and turn on the post notifications so you can see when I upload more stuff like this. Now let's get dancing. Okay, so let's get into the first movement that we're going to be covering in this twerking tutorial. We're going to be doing first a side-to-side movement, putting the emphasis on the third movement of each series, which you'll understand in a second. So the movement that we're going to be doing looks like this: 1 and 2, 3 and 4, 5 and 6, 7 and 8. Okay? We're going to get into that slowly. First, we're going to be doing that movement upright. So I want you to stand with your feet about shoulder width apart. You can decide, sometimes it's a bit more comfortable to move the hips if the toes are facing slightly outward. Some people will be more comfortable here. And we're gonna bend our knees and take your weight back onto the heel. From here, we're going to keep both knees bent and keep our torso centered in the middle. In other words, I'm not going to be moving my shoulders and really changing weight. My weight's going to stay right in the middle. And from here, I'm just going to get a pendulum swing going in the hips, in the pelvis. So it's going down and tilting from one side to another. Okay? Now, we're going to do the same thing, but we're going to do a half and whole, half and whole. So when I say half, I'm coming into the middle, swinging back, and then swinging over to the other side. Middle, back, side. Middle, and switch. Middle, back, 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 switch. Okay? Now, when you're comfortable with that movement, now we're going to take it into hands on the knees and using that same idea. So again, bending the knees. You can put the hands on the knees. Sometimes it's more comfortable to be here. Sometimes it's more comfortable to have the palm or the fingers facing in. That's really up to you. You can switch them as you go. The important thing is not to put too much weight on the legs because that will limit your ability to move your hips, and also not to allow the spine to curve in this way or the shoulders to go up. So in order to really do this movement effectively, when I bend over, I need to act as if I'm doing like a squat or a deadlift and keep my spine really straight. Same thing, when I put my hands on my knees, not allowing the shoulders to lift, I'm gonna just keep the arms and the shoulders nice and relaxed so that I can isolate the hips, okay? So, bending the knees a little bit more now, bringing the weight back onto the heels, putting the hands on the legs wherever they feel comfortable, and we're going to do that same movement. So I'm going to start over here on the left, and I'm going to go middle and switch, middle and switch, middle and switch, middle and switch, middle, switch, middle, switch, middle, switch, middle, switch. Now, this might feel a little bit awkward for you in the beginning because we're doing it as a controlled movement. We're really having to think about where you're moving your pelvis on each movement. However, once the coordination gets a little bit better in your body, there's an element of of letting go that's going to help you really feel those switches a little bit more profoundly and do this movement faster. So instead of controlling the movement so much, you're actually kind of following the natural kind of inertia of it, okay? So if we try it a little bit faster, ready, we go. Middle and switch, middle, 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 switch. You might feel that there's kind of a natural rebound to the movement, which will also really help us line up with the music very well as well. So now, speaking of music, we're going to try that with some music. Ready? Using the hip circle to change weight and also changing the positions of our knees as we do the circle. So we're doing some variations on that because the circle itself is something that I did cover in my first twerk tutorial. So just like with the last movement, we're going to start upright and then we'll move to hands on the knees. So we're again putting the feet underneath the shoulders, putting our weight back onto our heels, bending the knees, and I'm going to start by just doing a hip circle, just like that. I've covered this movement in several other videos, so I'm not going to get really into the detail of how to do that, but I do kind of break that down in my first twerk tutorial. So I'll put a link to that now if that's something that you're interested in learning about. So from here, first we're going to start to coordinate the knees and the hip circles. So as I go back, I'm taking my knees out, and as I come around forward, I'm bringing them in. So I go out, in, out, in, out, in, out, in. Out as I go back, in as I come forward. Out, in, out, in. It may also help to think about which side, or the side that you're going to. So in this instance, I'm going to the right. So I'm going out as I go to the right. I stay out as I go back. And then I come in as I go to the left, and I stay in as I come forward. Out, in, out and back, in and forward. Out, in, out, in, out, in, out, in. Again, trying to keep this all centered in the low body, trying to keep the upper body as neutral as possible. Let's try the same thing going to the left. So I go out and to the left and back, in and to the right and around. Out, in, 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 out, in. And I do feel actually, now that I'm thinking about it, that the out has the emphasis and the in is comes a little bit slower, and then out, in, out, in, out. So as you can see, it's like the tension is on the in, the out is the easy part, and then in happens slowly, out, emphasis on the out, and then the in happens slowly, and then there's kind of an explosion as you go out. I've found through teaching that it's always helpful when we're working on exercises like this in which we have to coordinate two different types of movements, it's always important to know where you are placing the emphasis because it helps you build rhythm in your body. Okay? So now, we're going to do this movement, but with the hands on the knees, okay? So we're going to start with the circle to the right. We'll just do our circle to start. So I go circle, 2, 3, 4, and then I'm going to add the knees in. Out, 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 out. Okay, we can do the same thing to the left. We go 1, 2, 3, 4, and out, 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 out. Okay? So, like I said, it might feel a little bit awkward at first, but if you think about where you're placing the emphasis, that's definitely helpful. You also do not need to do this to both sides. I like to demonstrate everything to both sides. So that you can find which side is stronger for you, and if you want to use that side only, that's perfectly fine. But also, it's just good to practice things to both sides, even if it's not equally comfortable. My left side for sure is the more awkward of the two, so I tend to favor the right, but it's good for all of us, including myself, to practice both sides, okay? So now I'm going to go over another hip circle variation option that we have, which is to do the hip circle while changing weight from side to side. Okay, in this particular movement, I am going to have you pick the side that's more comfortable for you. For me, it is the right. If it's the left for you, go ahead and do it to the left. But I'm not going to change the direction of my hip circle as I do this. So I've chosen to do my circle to the right, and I'm going to go to the right as I move on to the right foot, and continue to circle to the right as I move on to the left. So I'm going 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. So just building a rhythm in your body will be helpful. Like I said, taking 4 circles to fully transfer weight from side to side. So if I start, let's say I'll start over here. No, I'll start in the middle, and I'll go 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3 to get onto the left foot, 1, 2, 3 to get onto the right, 1, 2, 3, 4. And like I said in the beginning, if that alone is challenging, just stick with that. That on its own is a lovely movement that you can use in your dancing. The hands don't have to come to the knees, but I'm going to offer that, of course, as an option with all of these movements as well. So, now, putting the hands on the knees, and I'm going to go circle, 2, 3, 4, change, 6, 7, 8, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And then, if you're feeling really adventurous and confident with both of these, the knees and the shifting of the weight, you can combine them, which is like this. So I can go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, so we are going to practice all 3 of those variations with the music. If you have a preference, just stick with that one, and you can practice that for the duration of the practicing with music portion. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. a one-sided hip twist and drop, and a circle, and twist and circle, okay? So just like with the other ones, we're gonna start this one upright, and then we will do it on our knees. So the first thing that needs to happen is, I'm going to lift one of my heels, in this case I'm starting with my right, and twist it inward. Lift the heel, bend the knee, and twist inward. And when I do that, I'm doing a contraction with the hips in this direction. Then I'm going to do a circle to come out of it. Actually, a circle and a half. So if I start here, I go right, around, left, around, and then I'm going to allow that second half circle to take me in to the dip on the other side, the dip and twist. Then I'm going to make a circle and a half, and lift that heel, bend the knee, turn the pelvis about 1/8 of a turn, circle to the right, circle, twist and dip, circle to the left, half circle, drop around, and drop around, drop around, and drop, okay? So after the first full circle, now I'm lifting this heel up to get ready to do the drop. So there's that coordination again. So we can think about the emphasis going on the drop around and drop around and drop around and drop. So I'm kind of lifting on that half circle and then dropping. Circle, lift, drop. Circle, lift, drop. Circle, lift, drop. Okay? And what's happening when I'm dropping is I'm taking the hips forward. Yeah, so it might look as if I'm moving them to the side because I've twisted, but really the emphasis is going forward and down and not to the side. So I'm going forward, around, twist forward, around, twist forward, around, twist forward. And I'm really thinking about bringing the one side of the hip forward more than both sides. So even though both sides, of course, will inevitably come forward because they're connected, I'm thinking about initiating it from the side that has the lifted heel. So one more time, standing up, and then we will do it with the hands on the knees. So I go and drop, around and drop, around and drop, around and drop, around, drop, around, drop, around, drop, around, drop, around. Okay? Now with the hands on the legs, we're going and drop, around, drop, around, drop, around, drop, around. So just right off the bat, the difference that I'm feeling from being totally vertical and then coming down to the hands on the knees is that I have less range of motion in the drop. So the drop is going to be smaller just because of the position that my pelvis has to go into in order for me to get my hands on the knees. So whereas when I'm upright, I have all of this motion here. When I'm here, it's much smaller, and that's okay. Don't allow that to throw you off. The two movements will feel different, okay? So let's try that one more time. And drop, around, 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 drop, around. And like I said before, one side is going to feel a little more stiff than the other, and that's totally fine. The best way to alleviate that feeling is just to practice it on both sides, okay? So now let's give that a shot with music. Dip, around, dip, around. of the pelvis on straight knees, okay? So we're gonna do this both upright and bent over, but the difference between this one and the others that we've done today is that our knees are going to be straight. So the movement that I'm referring to is this one. We're just shaking the pelvis, and then we can also do it bent over, okay? So we're gonna start with this one. It's actually probably the simplest of all of the movements because all I'm doing is gently changing the direction of my hips, maybe even less than an eighth of a turn, just turning the belly button like this, here, 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 keeping the knees straight, and then you can just gradually increase the speed of that until you start to feel like there's a natural reverberation that's happening in your muscles, your fat, your skin, all that good stuff back there. If you're keeping your legs straight and really trying to relax all the muscles in your legs and really try and just create this movement, this agitating movement in the hips, then naturally you'll feel a little bit of reverberation in the backside, and that is actually going to help you maintain this movement so it doesn't feel awkward. If you try to control it too much, or if you're engaging the muscles, your glutes, it's going to be much more difficult because you will not feel that reverberation and it won't have the right look to it. In order to successfully do this movement, you have to have your leg and butt muscles totally relaxed, okay? So we're here, and I'm gonna just start gently, and then I'm gonna move up in speed and just allow the body to shake, okay? Or the lower body. As you can see, I'm not doing a lot. I'm just agitating like a washing machine, and naturally that movement occurs. Now, like I said, we can also do this movement bent over. It has a slightly different feel to it, but it's the same thing because, again, I don't have the leverage of having the weight fully on the legs. Because I'm bent over, it feels a little strange at first, but it is the same movement of just agitating the hips. So we go 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. I think it's important in these movements also because the body can tend to go kind of out of control. It's a similar movement to a shimmy in the upper body to maintain a rhythm. Even people think that because it's going fast, it doesn't have any correlation with the rhythm or with the music, and that's not true. When I'm doing this, what I feel is happening is 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. Okay, I'll show that from the back. So I go 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. I'm not just kind of randomly speeding up and slowing down. I'm trying to maintain a rhythm. So I go 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, and then the same thing over 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. Okay? Also, when you're bent over, because your skin and your muscles are going to be pulled a little bit tighter, you won't necessarily feel the reverberation as much, and that's normal, obviously, because this position is creating more tension, but it is still the same movement. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. What I really feel is if I put my weight back onto my heels, that really allows me to feel that the hip shifting a lot more profoundly and kind of helps me maintain my timing, okay? So now let's give that one a try with music. 6, 7, 8. demonstrating all 4 of the movements that we've learned today in the order that we used them. I'm also going to do first the upright version, moving into the hands on the knees version, and then back into the upright version so that you can be practicing both of those types of movements, okay? So the routine starting upright looks like this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and bringing the hands down and bending the knees. Do the same routine with the hands on the knees. So we go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, so now we will try that routine, going from up to down and down to up with music. 5, 6, 7, 8.
Thanks so much for joining me for today's lesson. Leave a comment below and let me know how you did. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on the post notifications for my channel. You can also follow me on Instagram at Dance Doctor Online. Until next time, keep dancing.